Every monument built for eternity eventually learns the language of dust. They called him the last merchant king. Richard Hallberg, founder of Hallberg Capital, the man who once financed half the railways in Europe. He wasn't born rich. His father was a tailor from Dresden who died mending a banker's torn coat. At 16, Richard swore he would never serve another man's fortune again. By the 1950s, he had become the embodiment of post-war capitalism. Steel gray suits, gold tie pins, a voice that could move currencies. He funded reconstruction projects in West Germany, the expansion of London's ports, and even early tech ventures in America. To the world, he was a symbol of rebirth and prosperity. To himself, he was still the boy at his father's funeral, counting debts he didn't owe. His empire grew, but not without sacrifice. He believed in control, not faith, not friendship. He owned dozens of subsidiaries, but not a single conversation that wasn't transactional. His only son, Michael, wanted to be a musician. Richard called it economic suicide. When Michael left home at 20, Richard didn't speak to him again for over 30 years. In 1989, during the Berlin Wall's fall, Hallberg Capital reached its peak valuation. Reporters called him the man who financed freedom. He smiled for the cameras, but when they asked what he wanted his legacy to be, he paused too long. Privately, he was restless. He had outlived his rivals, buried his wife, and found himself surrounded by assistants who spoke in spreadsheets. Legacy, he realized, was not what he left behind. It was what he never touched, the lives unlived, the voices unanswered, the silence he bought with dividends. In 2001, the global slowdown began unraveling his empire. A younger generation of fund managers dismantled the old banking empires, breaking them apart, digitizing them, forgetting their names.
Richard's wealth was safe, but his relevance was gone. His last public appearance was at an economic summit in Zurich, where he stood on stage before an audience scrolling through their phones. He spoke softly, "You think you're building systems, but you're building time bombs with prettier names." No one quoted him. He left the conference unnoticed, a man already half forgotten. The following winter, a journalist interviewed him at his empty estate overlooking Lake Lucerne. When asked if he had regrets, he answered with something that never made it to print, "I spent my life acquiring permanence in a world made of impermanence. I thought money could store meaning, but meaning doesn't accrue interest." Weeks later, he passed away quietly in his study. His will contained no grand donations, no foundations, only a sealed letter to his estranged son. The letter was found years later by Michael, who had become a modest music teacher. It contained just 2 lines. "You were right. Creation outlives possession. Play something beautiful for me." No one remembers Hallberg Capital now. Its name was absorbed, like dust in the vaults of bigger banks. But somewhere, in a small concert hall in Dresden, a pianist still performs a piece called The Empire of Dust, a requiem written by a son for a father who once tried to buy eternity. Wealth is memory written in numbers. But legacy, real legacy, is written in the people who continue without you. The tragedy of power is not that it ends, it's that it convinces you it never will.